few things. Just everyone, if you, in case if you have any doubts, anything you need to be asked, just please raise your hands, okay, or type into the chats. I will be continuously monitoring those chat, as well as any rains and any hands has been raised up, okay, for queries. And try to keep yourself in a mute until unless if you are in a good environment, it's fine. But you are sitting next to some like drastic sounds or anything, just try to avoid those. Okay, so we will be focusing on networking for penetration testers. Now, we know about networking. First of all, but let's talk about why do we actually require it? Okay, why do we actually require it? So there is basically a few days ago, I was going through like online articles and online studies and LinkedIn. So I come across with recent attack. Generally, attacks are very much common. Okay, like you can study about a few months ago. Uber was compromised. Okay, Uber was compromised way back in early of 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And the hacker was able to get the password from deep from hackers underground market, I would say. Okay, and he purchased those credentials for like somewhere around $40-50, and then he used those credentials in order to bypass the MFA. He tried calling the IT support team that we will be discussing in how he did that. Okay, and he was able to gain the access to the whole database. So he was like, I would not say he was a pro, but yeah, he did some sort of social engineering, and he was able to gain the access to the whole network, whole databases of the Uber for that particular region. So similarly, like this is another article has been posted a few weeks ago. MGM resorts breached by Sackett Spider hackers group. Okay, so there are a lot of cybersecurity groups operate online. Okay, like there is Carbanak, there is Lazarus, there is Spider Hack, there is ABC, there is A App to 32. There are multiple groups of cybersecurities. Okay, and out of those, this one of the spider hackers was the one who compromised this big gaming organization or casino. They have multiple like multiple segments of the businesses. They have into the casino. They have dedicated floor for for gaming. Okay, so over here, if we just go through this article quickly, a hacking group named Scattered Spider bought down the systems of somewhere around 14 billion gaming giant MGM Records internationally in this week. Uh, so people still miss to unmute. So anyways, sources familiar with the matter said a US law enforcement official started a probe into the breach. Like now the investigation is on the way, like how they actually hacker figure out this loophole, the advantage which helps them to get a complete access to the network. Similarly, there was one more please keep yourself on mute. All right, so there is another one. Okay, that was one case of the MGM giving you an idea. Okay, and you can see the amount that has been occurred a loss. Okay, because the production servers, maybe the gaming, so, their environment goes down. So this and another one. This was super interesting for me. Casino gets hacked through its internet connected fish tank thermometer IoT device. In most of the organization, like if I focus the organizations which is using much IoT than any other organization are the right now these healthcare industries where they have a lot of IoT products. Okay, those who are working into the Middle East, they are quite familiar. They used plenty of IoT devices, and these are basically the most common attack surface for an attacker to get into the network. So way back, it's like somewhere around in 2018, mid of 2018, this casino got compromised by the attacker just by taking the advantage. The attack surface was there was an IoT thermometer that used to get an access to the, I mean, like which was connected to the network. Okay, and I'm sorry, like I don't know why the people are like still I think the host should be, because I
Uh, I sorry, apologize. I think host have the authority to mute everyone. Please.
Right. So let's continue. So that was basically the attack surface through where the attacker get an access to the network. Okay, so there are multiple ways to get into the network. We will be starting into our presentation that is related to the penetration testing for network, and it's going to be the beginners part. Okay, there are a lot of things into the network. I'll try to wrap up every single thing into this presentation. Okay, so we will be having level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 for this presentation that we will be covering up into uh, starting into this presentation. Okay, so let's have a scenario. You are working for an organization. Recently you have been hired, and you are hired for a red teaming assessment where your goal and your task is to sorry, your task is to get and connected into the network, like through like this way. You have been hired to hack into a network to secure the site before anyone else can sneak into it, found the vulnerabilities. Like, it's kind of a red teaming assessment, or it can be like a black hat kind of okay, because they're giving you the permission. Okay, yeah, go and find out the vulnerabilities in hackers. It's something into like with the legal permissions. Okay, so this is basically the scenario that we will be having. Now, first of all, as an attacker, okay, when you will be into the penetration testing, means the purpose of the penetration testing is that you need to penetrate the network. Means you need to find those areas, those segments, those attack surfaces through which the whole machine or the whole network can be compromised, or the internal infrastructure can be compromised by an attacker through various means. So as an attacker or as an penetration tester, what would be your approach? First of all, you will be starting with the reconnaissance. Reconnaissance means you will be collecting potential information about your target. So where you will be finding the potential information about your target. Let's say we have a company X over here. We are assuming we company having X information. Okay. Oops, sorry. All right. I didn't realize that it was on mute. Am I audible to you, team? All right, just type the message into this, okay? Yeah, okay.
Yes, you are audible. There was no unmute for you were not muted.
Okay. So LinkedIn is one of the essential source. Like, first of all, we will be finding the employees, collecting the information about the employees through the LinkedIn. Okay, there are plenty of tools available related to collecting the information from the LinkedIn. Like, one of the most common is the harvester that you will be finding on the GitHub. Okay, uh, um, we have time constraint webinar. That's the reason I'm not going to be much into the demonstration part. But yes, there are tools through which we can collect. So I have now the enough amount of information through the LinkedIn. I got to know about the employees that organization is having, somewhere around 50-70 employees. Information I collected through the LinkedIn. Now I will be focusing on that. That's one part. Now, through the job listing, this is something new that a lot of people is not aware, that from job listing, how can I collect the information? Because generally a lot of people like, okay, social media, I will be collecting the organization information. I will be collecting the employees information. Through website, I will be doing the whois lookup, NS lookup, or DNS and mail server, mail exchange server. This is the information. But job listing, maybe it could be new for some, maybe it could be new for everyone, maybe it could be new for some of us. So the reason we have taken consideration about the job listing is also for the purpose that we need to know the technology that an organization is having. Because in job listing, they want to hire an engineer, they want to hire a security engineer, they want to hire a server engineer. So based on that job listing, you would come to know that, okay, they are looking for such and such expertise. Like maybe they might be having the Azure, they might be having the Cisco products, they might be having the Palo Alto. So on this minimum amount of 10 to 20%, I would say, you will be getting the information. You will be coming closer to the next step of the attack. So these are two things that we will be doing into the recon science. Okay, means basically and cutting to everything very short, like collecting the information. All right, so now, what are basically the hardware? What makes the infrastructure? So till now, we are talking on L1 and L2. Right now, we did not reach into the network. L1 means physically, like, okay, like physically where we are. L2, we will still out of the network. In L3, we will be directly interacting with the network. So over here, networking basically, or IT infrastructure combines of plenty of devices. Okay, so over here we have this firewall. Okay, this one shape, this is forward, reverse. This one is called as router, and the one which you can see over here is the switches. And these are the end devices. Okay, these are basically the endpoints. These are PC. I'm sorry, these are other devices. Okay, that is required into the organization. These are CCTV cameras or Wi-Fi access points can be there, which can be directly connected. And this looks like it's actually an internet. Okay, so this is basically the internet. Your packet will be moving and coming in. So in general, this is how your network is built up with the combination of multiple devices. Okay, so far it has to be clear there is not much into the technical part, but we will be penetrating these devices. These areas are basically the attack surfaces for an attacker to get in. Now, in general, if I ask you a simple question like how an attacker can get an access to the network, it's very quite common. Like there could be a Wi-Fi. He will be connecting to the Wi-Fi through the guest network. That is one thing. Okay, directly through the corporate main network if there is an access created for him. Third one is basically the Ethernet. Generally, in the meeting rooms, we have those Ethernet cable laying on the floor, and we just can connect that, and we are good. Yeah, we are into the network. Okay, so now all these devices actually work on a specific standard model. Okay, that standard has been globally followed, which start from bottom to top approach, you go for it, or top to bottom. Okay, so it is physical, data, network, transport, session, presentation, and application layer. These are basically the 7 layers is into this OSI model. Now, this is basically a global standard that in every organization, I mean, like every device manufacturer has to follow if that particular device is having the capabilities to be connected on the network. So we will be discussing about those layers. So what physical layer is basically responsible for? The purpose of the physical layer is to check the physical connectivity, how my device is connected to the other device. So it could be via the like Ethernet connection, like as I said, or it could be via wireless connectivity. Okay, in general, these are the 2 connectivity which you will be finding. Okay, so this is basically the hardware part, which I've already explained you, but over here I have highlighted on the switches because of the layer 2. Okay, so the layer 2, we will be having multiple stuff into it. Okay, the layer 2 is responsible for reading the MAC addresses. Okay, it is helping, it is doing the broadcasting, it is doing the address resolution protocol, because my switch operates on L2. L2 is basically layer 2. The devices over here is not capable to read the IP addresses. So your IP addresses will be having the functionality on this network. So your router, okay, router is capable to read the IP addresses. Your L2 switches, okay, there are L3 switches as well, L2 switches as well. So in general, we are talking about those L2 switches. So those L2 switches are not capable to read the IP addresses. This is the reason over here it has been highlighted into the green. So these all my devices which are above L3, they can read the L3, L4 packets, L3 packets. My endpoints is capable of reading up to L7. Okay, that's layer 7 up to application layer. Now my switch is not capable to read, but how this communication happen? Let's say this PC is sending this switch is taking the decision, router is forwarding how. So that we will be covering up in the next slide. But there are three important things which will be which has to be focused. That is the MAC address. Every device will be having the MAC address. MAC address is basically like a address which is a hard coded address, which is like a 48-bit address. Okay, out of 48 bits, 24 bits is reserved by the vendor, okay, those who manufacture the devices. Okay, and it is required for the identifying the device, communication with the other devices into the same network segment. Okay, if they are into the same network. Broadcast is basically for finding the correct information. Okay, it's something like that. You might have a feature into the WhatsApp. We have the unicast, we have broadcast, we have multicast. So when switch is connected into the network, it doesn't know how to forward the packet from PC A to PC B. So for that purpose, we require the broadcasting. That is important. Okay, that's an by default behavior of a switch. Okay, and address resolution protocol is basically protocol that operates on layer 2, layer 3. Okay, the main purpose of this protocol is to convert or resolve the IP to MAC address or MAC address to IP address. So it will be directly in communication with the router and the switch. Okay, so this is even if you are talking about managed switch or unmanaged switch, its concept will going to be the same into the L2 switch, whether it is managed or unmanaged. Okay, now over here we'll spend a few minutes over here to understand how these PCs communicate. Okay, so how the ARP protocol function. So in your system, if you execute this command into your Windows system, address resolution protocol -A, it will show you the devices it knows. Okay, so certain IPs which you will be seeing over here, it is completely new to you. Like over here, it's a broadcasting IP, it's a reserved IP, it's a reserved range, it's the broadcasting IP over here for this particular network. And I know the gateway, means in technical terms, my system is connected how I am sending the packets to the internet. So when I am connected to the network, I send my packet to the default gateway. So just try to understand in this simple term, you are somewhere sitting into a room, or like I am in my workspace. So I have one exit from in this room. Okay, so when I'll take that exit, I can go up, I can go down, I can go anywhere, any part of the world. But the first important and the necessary condition that I have to fulfill is I need to take an exit. So similarly, your system, into your system, there will be one default gateway will be there, through which the packet will be moving out and coming in. Now, how the communication occurs, okay, when there's two PCs are connected through the switch and there is no router, we assume, okay, just PC A wants to share some amount of information to the PC B. So what will happen over here, we assume another PCs are connected. So when PC A wants to send some information, it will send to the switch. So switch will do a particular task. Switch will record, okay, from this PC. So let's say 00A is the MAC address of this PC. Switch will record, and also every port number will be having these numbers 0/1, 0/2, 0/3, and so on 0/1. So it will note down, okay, from 0/3 a packet has come. So when the packet has received, what switch will do? Switch will do the broadcasting, because right at this moment, switch doesn't know where PCB exists. Okay, so switch will broadcast the packet. Broadcast means the packet header will be having, the packet will be having the header of FFFFFFF. Okay, so every PC present into the network, like if there are 5 PCs, 10 PCs, 20 PCs, every PC will be receiving the packet. Okay, in general term, let's say try to understand, you are in a classroom and there is an announcement from your supervisor or professor that all the students between the age of 16 to 20, this is the announcement for them, but you are 21, 22, 23. So the people who are above 21, 20, okay, they won't be listening because for them, it is not the important news. But the time when they make the announcement, for this announcement is for the students. So you were the part of a student at that point of time. As soon as they said 16 and 16 until 20, then you said, okay, yeah, I'm not 20, I'm 21. So I'll take an off. I'll take an off. So over here, all the PC receive the packet. Why? Because they receive because of the broadcasting header. They realize, okay, yeah, it's a broadcasting header. I need to accept that packet. But as soon as they accepted the packet, when they tear up the header, so they find out that this packet is destined for 1.3. So this PC discarded the packet, this PC discarded the packet. And when PC B received the packet, it tear up the header, it find out, okay, it is for me, 1.3. Yeah, I am 1.3. This PC will be sending the response from wherever point he is connected, this guy. So his MAC address will be recorded into this switch, okay, coming from 0/4. So that's how the switch is building up the MAC address table for further communication. Okay, this is how the switch will be taking the decision in near future when the packet is coming. Okay, so similarly, we have inside a packet, we have like these are the frame, these destination MAC and the source MAC. And the packet start to form from here. We have the destination IP, we have the source IP, the port numbers, okay, and the data which we have. Okay, these are basically the information, 6 information inside a packet, which makes a complete packet. All right, so over here, now we're coming towards the another part over here, that success. We figured out that through LinkedIn, you find out that multiple individuals on the like, you know, IT staff, you figure out they are using Azure, Cisco, and Active Directory as some of their job duties. So now this is the information that can be helpful for us for the for our, you know, setting up the stage, preparing the weapons. Okay, weapons like in terms of exploit, in terms of malware, in terms of phishing pages. Okay, so like how we will be using our social engineering techniques, okay, or attacker techniques in order to compromise them. Okay, now as we have already covered up with the layer 1 and layer 2, now we have to connect to the network. Till now we did not reach inside the network. We are up to just L1 and L2. Okay, we discussed about how we are collecting the information, how we are, you know, managing between those devices, how the packets is moving between L1 and L2. Okay, now we will be connecting to the devices that is getting into the network part. So in order to get into the network, I will be having these devices. Okay, router, switch, we already understood about the switch. So router is basically the device that helps you to that helps the packet to route from one source to another destination. Just try to understand, it's like in Ola, it's like in Uber. Okay, I know in Bangalore you don't have this, like it's not working, even though there's an application, just keep on scrolling, so nothing working. Okay, but yeah, we had that experience about the Ola and the Uber. What's the purpose of the Ola and Uber? It's like they will pick you from point A and they will drop you on the point B. So similarly, router does the same thing, but there was a minimum condition for Uber to work, Ola to work. Similarly, there is also a minimum condition for a router to work. What is that condition? That condition is simple. When you book an Ola or Uber, you would set a pickup point. Okay, that is basically your gateway. So similarly, for a router, a pickup point has to be there. Means a packet will be reaching to the router. That much of route PC must be having. Okay, so that is basically our default gateway. So in journal over here, if I show you IP config, sorry. So over here, we will be finding this is the default gateway. So my PC, my system knows that how to reach to the router. Now, when I'm trying to access to google.com or amazon.com, I will send my packet to the router. Now it is the router responsibility to take me from one source to the destination, because router will be having the route. In case if my router doesn't have the route, it will redirect me to the ISP, and ISP will take me. So okay, so this is basically the general functionalities of a router. It takes the decisions, okay, based on the destination IP. It does read the source IP, but it takes a decision on the destination IP where for this, which packet this particular IP is destined for which. Okay, now let's get into the DNS part. Okay, these are very, very basic terms which we are quite familiar with it. What is basically the DNS? DNS is basically the domain name server, domain name service. Okay, and in books you'll be finding either it's a server or a service. It's quite same. So generally when I try to look for twitter.com, so generally what happened, first of all, my system look into the local DNS. If there is a record found, it will display me the results. Generally, you might have done certain type of assessments, like changing your host file. I think, yeah, it's a host file that we change. Okay, certain times when you need to locally demonstrate something, when you need to locally host a website with a within IP2 name. Okay, so we use the DNS. So when we try to access to the twitter.com, so I type twitter.com, but in technically it goes to the DNS server. It resolves into an IP address. Okay, every domain name is having an IP address, but the thing is, make it super easy. It's like for a human readable format. Okay, this IP address will be taking me to the twitter.com. So DNS is in simple terms, just it's like a phone book directory. Okay, like we used to have the yellow pages from where I need to find out, okay, the contact numbers of XYZ services. Similarly, DNS is having the website records, like the IP addresses, which will be resolving it. Okay, so these are the most common terms that we will be using during our assessments part. Okay, now we are still not into the network as well as of now. Okay, like fully. So we are going to collecting the information. Now information can be collected through online public repositories, public records. Okay, so that is, for this we use DNS record. Who is lookup? Dig is basically, we can also use ping. There are multiple services. Okay, I just make it a few. The things, the information which we collect using the tools, we have Recon NG, we have Amas tools. Okay, similarly there are other tools available on GitHub as well, because these tools are keep on frequently updated, and new developer may release a new tool. Okay, there is Nmapper as well. This is fantastic tool. Let me Nmapper. Yeah, this is basically a fantastic tool. I'll share the link into the chat as well for everyone. Later on, you just check it out. Okay, this is having multiple stuff into this tool. It's Nmap, subdomain finder, ping, ciphers. It can find out a lot of things. Okay, so similarly, these are the tools. And Shodan. Shodan is something like Google. Okay, when you look for Google, I mean, like you type a query into the Google and it gives you it come up with some of the results. Okay, yeah. Shodan is also something like that, but it is a search engine which is like all the devices which is connected on the internet. It will give me the information. Okay, so let's say for an instance, okay, I never tried searching this. Okay, I use Shodan, but this is my first time when I will be searching something related to the MFIRD on Google. Okay, so first of all, I'll just on Shodan I will be finding. Okay, you can make an account on this. It's free version. I'm using it for now. Why it is popping up? Okay, so let's say MFIRD. If there is any site, any services hosted related to the MFIRD, we'll get it. But as of now, there is nothing. No problem. Cool. Let's say Airtel. I just willingly. So all the servers of the Airtel, which is internet facing, which you cannot just find by Googling, you can find out using this. Okay, I can type Airtel, let's say Hyderabad. So it will result me filters. I can use multiple filters. Okay, I think I have to use Hyderabad Airtel or Airtel Hyderabad. Some filters is required to be, used. But anyways, so it will show you all the public facing routers, public facing switches. In case if they have, okay, any switch, they might mistakenly be to security configuration. L3 switch, they are using all the firewalls, MikroTik routers, or any IoT device which is towards the internet facing, you will be getting every single thing related to any of those. Okay, so Shodan is a pretty much fantastic utility that you will be using. Let's say if I specifically wanted a protocol to be searched, Airtel or SSH. So it will display me the results, all the results related to the Airtel and SSH is there. So if there is any services of Airtel which is using the SSH, I'm using the Airtels. That's the reason it was not giving me the results, I guess. Okay, so over here, I just make it SSH. All the servers related to the SSH service will be running, and the ports with port number 22, I'll get the results out of it. And then I can use other tactics, which will be coming up into our slides, how we can find out that whether it is a vulnerable parameter to get into the site or not. Okay, so yep, moving towards the next presentation. These are certain images. This is like related to the DNS. Okay, so over here, I did the whois lookup over here for twitter.com. I got some of the information related to their subdomains related to the Twitter IP. This is basically on the Shodan. They look for SSL cert, okay, for Twitter. So these are basically the IP addresses we got. Then over here, I did the DNS recon. I get the name server records, okay, name servers, SOS servers of the Twitter. Okay, so this much of amount of information we will be collecting for compromising, for penetration testing of our network. Now, when we do the penetration testing, we need to have a clarity towards the IP addresses. What is basically the IP addresses? So we have two different IP addresses, IPv4, IPv6, version 4 and version 6. Why the reason is like why we have two different versions, because we were running out of the IP addresses. So there was a need for a new solution to be proposed. Okay, new solution for devices to be connected on the internet. That's the reason over here the IPv6 was invented. So over here, you will be finding the IP range start from 0000 to 55555. Okay, this is basically any value coming in between will be considered as an IP, and the total number of IPs sorry, we can have into IPv4 is 4 billion, somewhere 4.3 billion. We just make it as a round figure to make the thing simple. And out of these, around this much of IP is already reserved. That is like under the private IPs schema, okay, under different like different classes of the IP addresses. So we left with this much of IP addresses. Now just look around the population of the of the world, and we as an Indians, we are contributing a huge amount, like 40% or 35% to this much of population. Okay, so now why the IP addresses are reserved and for what it is reserved. So we have certain private networks, we have certain loopbacks, we have this local link, which is also known as a PIPA. Okay, when you are not getting any IP addresses, your DHCP is not working, you will be getting a local IP addresses, local link address, which is starting from 169. You might have faced a situation for documentation purpose, for multicast, and reserved for future testing purpose. Okay, so these are the addresses which is reserved in general. Now over here, this is the slide which makes me super funny over here, because we have a population like across the globe, like it's 7.8 billion as per the 2021. Like I don't have the current stats, and I did not get a chance to put into it. And IPv4 4.3 billion in total. Okay, now how we will be, now every device, let's say I'm in my workplace, so I have minimum 2 to 3 devices. I have my laptop, I have my server, I have my smartphone, I have my another smart device. Okay, so on an average, one person is using minimum 2 to 3 IP addresses. So how we are not able to fulfill the minimum demand of the IP addresses, how we will be able to fulfilling the demand across it. So we come up with two different solutions. The first one is IPv6, which is a global change. okay, and the network address translation. So the first one is IPv6, okay, to develop to deal with the IPv4 exhaustion. Okay, we were running out of the IP addresses, as we were not having the IP addresses, and it is having 128-bit address comparatively towards the IPv4. IPv4 is having 32-bit address, okay, whereas IPv6 is having 128-bit address, which means like in billions, trillions IP addresses we have. We don't know in future we ran out of the IP addresses with IPv6. Who don't know about the future, okay? We don't know like how many IoT devices will be there, or a new technology has been evolved for something. But right now we have this solution. So NATing is basically in today's era, right at this moment, we are using this concept of the NAT. I'll explain you how. You most of you having the broadband into your home connection into your office. So your office, or you are paying maybe 1,000 rupees, or let's say $15 to $20, okay, on an average for this internet. And with that particular internet, you are getting one public IP, and your multiple devices of your brother, your father, your mother, your XYZ, whosoever is living into your home, they are all able to access to the internet with that same particular router. So what is generally happening? One public IP, and internally, as it is hitting to the router interface, internally router is giving the private IP addresses. So over here, if you read map multiple IP addresses to one addresses, over here, if I explain this term, means one single public IP is being mapped to multiple private IP addresses. This is the reason one single device in my workspace, around 20 people, we are able to work with one single public IP. And that's kind of a revolution at that point of time when we were running out of the time. So after that, IPv6 was discovered. I would not say discovered. Basically, it was designed and developed. Discovered, it's going to be the wrong term. Okay, so how this network address translation works, over here you will be having a private IP which looks something like this: 192.168.0.1. okay, that's basically the IP. Or maybe 10.10.10.10, okay, or 172.16. 1.1, okay, up to 172. This is basically having a range 172.168.32.1. So these are the three classes that will be covered up into the next slide. Okay, so over here, just have a look. I have a private IP. We assume it's 192.168.1.5. So as soon as it tried to move outside of the network, this IP will be mapped, and it will be forwarded outside for public facing internet services like Amazon, Google, or XYZ services. So as soon as this will be responding back, router will be checking into the routing table. Okay, this IP address was assigned with this private address with the following port number 1, 2, 3, 4. So this was a device directly. It will forwarding the packet to that known device. Now, I would advise you to take a look on this. Meanwhile, I'll have a sip of coffee. Okay, so these are basically the private IP. Means these are non-routable on the internet. You will never see these IPs is being routed on the internet. Starting with 10, starting with 172, starting with 192. Sorry. And total number of addresses can be there into it: 16,065,000 and 254. These are the host. Means now you might be wondering that who will be using this 16 million. So there are certain organizations like the airlines industry. They generally have a lot of endpoints. For that, generally they have the class A. Class B is like the medium scale organizations. Class C is generally we use into our home environment. You can use any of the classes. You can change the DHCP server moving into your router, and you can use any class IP address which is mentioned over here. These are going to be your private IP ranges. Okay, sorry. So how these IPs are formed? Okay, in IPs we have, these are called the this is basically the subnets part. Okay, so these are basically subnet. For class A we will be having /8 subnet. For class B have /16, 24 and 32. So this is basically the network part and the host part. So for an instance, if I assume over here 192.168.1.0, so every IP will be having network part, okay, and the host part means where the change will occur. So the wherever the change will occur, that is considered to be as an host part, and the section where no change will occur will be considered as an host part. So try to understand its host in the network means a lot of people get confused over here. They're like, okay, what is an IP? What is a network? In general, let's say I booked a room into the hotel Hilton, and I ask you, I ask you to, hey, come and meet me into the Hilton. Okay, there is one Hilton in the Bangalore, we assume it. Okay, and let's say you reach to that Hilton because you know that Hilton is there. Now the time you reach, you don't know my room number, you know my network, that okay, I told you about the Hilton, so that was my network. So you reached by confirming the network number. Okay, this is the Hilton, I am here. Now you'll be calling me, hey Saif, where is basically, what's your room number? So I'll tell you, okay, my room number in Hilton is 192.168. Up to one, up to one is basically the Hilton. But as I said, .10 is my room number. So immediately you will be identifying, okay, in Hilton, Saif room number is 10. So similarly, every IP we can identify for which network it belongs to, looking towards the host part. Okay, so over here in class A, this is basically the network part. So if I write this IP 10.10.10.10, so all these three values can be changed. So this is my host part into my class A, and this is my network part where there will be no change. Okay, where there'll be no change. Over here, these are the values which can be changed. Means over here, this can be 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Over here, we will be having the change. This will be having the complete change values. Similarly, in class B, similarly in class C, we have these two values, which will be host part, which will be the network part. Okay, so this presentation will be shared after this meeting as well. So in case if you need something. Okay, now we are looking forward to upload a shell. Okay, now why shell uploading is there? Like shell is like just making a simple connection. Okay, like a silent connection I am making. It's something like I am dropping my malware into the network and I am accessing that malware remotely. Okay. Now over here, when we start into the networking part, we need to know that, okay, what are the ports and the services running into the network? So you will need to search for open ports, open services, which will allow. So as in general, every server which is connected into the network will be having certain services being hosted. Okay, what are those services can be there? Either that server may be having the SSH service enabled. Maybe it could having the FTP services enabled, 20 and 21 port number. Okay, it's a client side and it's a server side port number. HTTP services or RDP services. Okay, these are the most common services is being shown into this presentation. Okay, there could be more other services. Okay, you can look for it using the Nmap. We can do the TCP scan. We can do the UDP scan using the Nmap. So Nmap will be giving you the more insights about a particular network when you will be finding. Okay, so I'm not sure whether you are quite familiar with this network mapping tool or not, but it is a tool which will be coming up a lot of insights into the network. All right, so now we move towards the level 3 part, where we have, this is basically the part from the security perspective. We do the network segmentation. Okay, from security perspective, always make sure to create the VLANs into the environment and always have the subnetting of the IP addresses. These are basically general to security on the initially on the like on a switch level on a L2, if I say. Okay, like we do the network segmentation, so there will be less attack surface. Okay, we are isolating the different departments from other departments. Okay, so VLANs is basically a concept of basically physical switch. I am dividing into 3, 4 different 4, 5 logical switches. Physically, it will be one, but internally, logically, it will be divided into multiple VLANs. Okay, so it will be acting as a separate switch. So we will be having multiple VLANs, VLAN 10, 20, and VLAN 30. So if this is on basement, this is on level 1 and level 3. So now let's say a VLAN 30 PC wants to communicate to this PC, no problem. There will be a separate VLANs. Okay, there will be VLANs. The switches know they synchronize about the VLANs information internally. Okay, so this packet will be reaching towards the switch. Okay, based on the VLAN number, VLAN 30, it will be assigned a VLAN tag. It will be forwarded to this PC. If there is any VLAN 30, this packet will be forwarded in case if there is. If not, then it will be forwarded to the another switch. Based on the VLAN tag, the packet will be reaching it to the destination. Okay, so that's basically the concept of the VLAN. On it also, it helps us to enable the security part as well. Okay, now subnets. Now we create the subnet, like as I said, we create the subnet, one major IP. Okay, one major IP we divide into smaller part. Okay, the reason for this is to reduce down or to cut down the attack surface. Okay, because if I am using a major network, there are two drawbacks. First of all, the wastage of the IP, and unnecessarily it is consuming the network bandwidth. Okay, so we try to minimize the network. Okay, like let's say I have a requirement of these 7 IPs. So if I'm, let's say if I am using 192.168.1.0 in one network, we have 254 valid IPs, and how many I require? Only 7 IPs. So I am wasting with somewhere around 248 IPs is gonna be wasted. So what I'll do, I'll subnet this IP as per my requirement. There will be wastage of the IP, no doubt, even into this subnetting. But yeah, 15 IP I will be getting, 10 IP I will be getting. So the wastage would be like 10 or 7 IPs will be wasted, but not like something like a bacon. Okay, there is another concept which is like super netting, where is completely we reduce down the wastage of the IP addresses. Now we focus on DHCP. DHCP is basically an important protocol when it comes to the network part, and a lot of attacks are also there in DHCP. Okay, it's basically a UDP protocol. Okay, TCP and UDP, we already know about it, like handshake, 3-way handshake in TCP. In UDP, there is no handshake. So every PC will be able to surf on the internet because of this DHCP. So like when you power on your system, when you are trying to access to the Google, this is basically the guy who is working behind the scenes DHCP. Okay, he allocates the IP addresses. So your PC make a discover request. We call this process as a DORA process, okay, which is known as discover, offer, request, and acknowledgement. So this PC send the request. A discover request means, hey, where is the DHCP? Tell me where is the DHCP. So it will be a broadcasting request. Then DHCP respond to that. Okay, yeah, I am the DHCP. I have an IP to offer. So I mean, like I am the DHCP. So I make the request for IP. Hey, I need some IP. So DHCP send the acknowledgement packet with the IP. Okay, this is the IP has been allocated to you. Now you are the part of the network. Now let's start the services. Now you are ready to surf into the network. You are ready to connect into the network. All right, now this is basically another case study over here. While we're doing the recon, you notice that a publicly exposed DNS server revealed a name server record. Okay, that's confidential. That's kind of an important part. Resolving to a private IP address based on the host name, it appeared that the server might be a domain controller. Okay, that is also known as the DC. So there are possibilities. That's the reason we use this recon science, okay, where we collect the information related to the DNS services, we collect the information related to their name services, who is lookup, shodan, and ms recon.ng. So over here we come across with this information that there is one particular domain name server, okay, which is the NS server, which is pointing towards a private IP, and that particular private IP is a domain controller. So if I am able to exploit that particular domain controller, I will be into the network and I will be having like a kind of a root privileges or the admin privileges into the network part. Okay, so for that I use this basically the ncat as a way to connect into the network, and I'm trying to look over here, and over here I use Microsoft AD services. Okay, whatever the name of that particular service, I connected with this, and over here I try to figure out this information and DNS services, and it is resolving this information, and I am getting this result. So basically one single small mistake could be like in terms of like, you know, $1 billion, $1 million, it could be costing. Okay, I can use other tools as well in order to connect. Over here netcat has been used to connect into the service. Similarly, putty can be there for any specific services for some random ports. That is possible. All right, now what are the common attacks that can be executed into the network environment on the protocols? So those who are the network engineers, those who are planning to be into the network, the attacks can be on the routing protocols. One is the BGP, other one is the EIGRP, MDNS, okay, LLMNR, okay, another one is the DHCP, address resolution protocol. These are most common. Okay, there are other plenty of attacks as well, like STP attack on a spanning tree protocol can be, but these are basically the man in the middle attack which can be executed on in general on these protocols. Okay, because these protocols are in general frequently communicating, frequently exchanging the routes. Okay, LLMNR is basically link layer, okay, related to the, and we have DHCP attack. On DHCP we have like DHCP flooding attack can be done, and rove DHCP server attacks can be done. Address resolution protocol and ARP poisoning, which is also known as ARP poisoning, means manipulating my system that okay, the default gateway you know is no longer the default gateway. Now I am the new default gateway. Means attacker is generating an address resolution packet, means poisoning the network by manipulating that. Now your default gateway has been changed. So what will happen in general? PCs will not be sending the packets to the actual default gateway. The PCs will start sending the packets to the attacker machine. So every single packet will be routed through the attacker machine, and attacker will route those packets to the internet. So those are the possible attacks that can be executed. So over here, DHCP server spoofing attack can be executed. Okay, DHCP server means basically attacker will be there who is pretending that okay, I am the DHCP server. So when a client is requesting for the DHCP server from the legitimate DHCP server, the attacker is giving the IP address to the victim. Okay, now over here, generally these are very common and known attacks into the organizations. Okay, on DHCP. Now over here, what layer of protection, what type of security we can enable over here? We need to make these ports trusted, like from where the legitimate DHCP server is connected, that is only the trusted port. So all the packets coming related to the offer will be coming from this port. Only the PC's endpoints will be accepting those packets. Otherwise, those packets will be discarded. So that's how basically the one of the security we can apply on this. Then we have the DHCP starvation attack. Okay, as an attacker is continuously generating huge amount of packets. Means like okay, continuously an attacker can release the packet. Okay, I need an IP. So multiple times, like 100 times he can release this packet. He can send this request to the DHCP server. So what DHCP server will do? Okay, I'll release one IP. I'll release one IP. So at certain point of time, the DHCP pool, which is having 254 IP, will be consumed by one single attacker. And in the last, the DHCP server will end up giving the IP address. So any new client that is coming into the network will not be getting an IP address, and he will no longer part of the network. He won't be able to do any activities into the network. He won't be able to travel on the internet as well. So these are the most common attacks that you will be finding into the corporate environment when you start with beginning with your penetration testing. Okay, there are a lot of things. Okay, but as we need to keep this presentation within a period of an hour, so I designed to be covered up the most common technologies, most like the with a very basic terms, okay, related to the security, as well as touching up towards the concepts of the networking. Okay, in future we do have a plan to go for part 2 of this presentation, okay, which will be going more into the deeper into the security part. Okay, so now that's all from my side related to this presentation. And now the things is now we are welcome for your queries and questions. Okay, any questions and queries, you can feel free to type, as well as, I guess now you will be unmuted.
Yeah, all are unmuted. You can one at a time ask questions.
Okay, so there is a question from Xiaomi. Okay, precondition for penetration testing or ethically hacking is you should get permission agreement with the network or the website or the system which you are doing the pen test. This is to make sure you are doing ethical thing. Generally, if you are working for an organization as a security engineer or a penetration tester, so when you have signed a contract, automatically you are doing those things with the permission, appropriate permission. Even though if you are working on a contract, so definitely there will be an NDA signed between both the parties, that is a non-disclosure agreement among all the parties. So the information will not going to be disclosed. In case if the engineer finds certain vulnerabilities, he is not allowed to post on the internet. Okay, so it's like it could be a serious threat to the organization. I'm working into the application penetration. May I know how to move into the network penetration testing? You are into the web application, Mohammed, isn't it? Why you're planning to move into the network? Web application is quite good, and it's going to be more into the expand. Like there are a lot of opportunities into the web applications. You can be into the bug bounty, try to expand your scope into the bug bounties, where like you will be finding the bugs into the certain websites, application. You can report those, and you can have like a rewards from that as well. Why there is no other protocol like OSPF, RIP, or CDPI? I said like there are other protocol as well, but I did not add it into that this presentation. Okay, I said it's there. Okay, I took the most common one. Okay, the BGP is the common, EIGRP is common. RIP is already discarded from the. I mean, like it's no longer used. RIP is already rest in peace, that protocol. Okay, yeah, OSPF is still honoring the networking industry without any doubt. Yeah, the recording links will not be there, but there is the channel on the YouTube you will be finding. On the multiverse, that is basically the channel on the YouTube. The link will be available to you, I guess, related to the YouTube recordings. Okay, every video from the MFIRD for every week for various technologies you will be finding on YouTube. Okay, any questions you have related to your path selections, related to like if you have already started into the network or you are into the security, you plan to move, that's yeah. Okay, so inshallah, the recording will be available in a few days. Okay, and the recording link is already shared with you. Thanks a lot, Vivek. It was very. I did not jump into the basic. Okay, but now we already understood this presentation. So definitely we will be having another presentation in the upcoming weeks. Okay, that's going to be more advanced related to this penetration testing part. Okay, we have a question from Irfan, that is internship related issue in cybersecurity in Ahmedabad as a cybersecurity student. Like, what's the issue? Are you not able to get the internship, or what? Or it is like you didn't describe the issue. Issue can be lot of issue. You are not able to reach to your office, issues connecting to the services. What are the prerequisites to become a penetration tester? So the prerequisite is that you should be having a sound knowledge towards the Windows fundamentals, Linux, and network. Okay, now it depends like which segment you want to become a penetration tester. You want to be into the web application, you want to be into the network. So accordingly, niche up your skills on those area. But if you plan to be into the red teaming, then overall multi stuff you need to go through it. Sir, I'm a student. From where should I start into the cybersecurity? Okay, that's good. You still have, like a lot of time, but I would advise not to waste your time. So start from, like in upcoming weeks. No, certification is not something as of now. Okay, so certification is not something. First of all, you need to update yourself, upgrade your skills. Okay, certification will be like, okay, you have the certification, but you don't have the knowledge, won't be working. Okay, so let's say you start into the cybersecurity. So start with the CCNA. Okay, start with the Microsoft fundamental, that is Microsoft server certified administrator. I'm not encouraging you as of now to go for the certification, but just go for the programs. And all these programs is available online. Okay, free of cost on YouTube. There are a lot of informative material you will be finding. Okay, so there is no requirement of the institution. You connect with the industry people. You connect with us on the LinkedIn. Okay, I have already shared up my LinkedIn over here. You connect with us, like there is, like, what I have observed, like there is no necessary need to spend like 30, 40, 50,000 for any of the program, because as per my experience, most of the 99% of the information is available on the internet. You just need right guidance, and sorry, you need the proper mentorship. That's all is required. Other than that, nothing. In order for this direct connection, direct advices related to any of the programs, okay, so the link has been shared related to the LinkedIn. Over there, you can feel free to ask any queries. Yeah, generally I'm not much active on the LinkedIn, but yeah, if there is something, you can directly message. Okay, yeah, couple of days ago, since this webinar was the message was circulated, I got around lot of requests and lot of messages as well. So if you are the people who send me the message, who is part of this webinar, in case if I did not able to respond to your messages, even I read it, I apologize on that, because generally Friday, Saturday, Sunday until Monday, these are 4 days, is quite loaded for me, because lot of meetings and trainings on these days. I'm associated with it. Okay, so that's all from my end. So if there is no queries, we can wrap up for the day.
Yeah, sure. So thanks everyone for joining the session, and special thanks to Saif Khan
Thanks, yeah,
for sharing his knowledge with us. And inshallah, we'll have further sessions on cybersecurity. So jazakumullah khair. With this, we stop the session.
yeah.